Shalom Israel. It's your brother Marcus G. First and foremost, back with another truth thought. Let me say that. First and foremost, I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. I must give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. Secondly, I want to say I was contacted by Queen Sharon and King Greg, and they both want to extend their thanks to you all, Israel, for your charitability. I myself would like to personally extend my thanks to you all for your charitability. It is such a beautiful thing to see Israel actually doing the things that the Most High requires of us, for lack of better terms. Being there for one another in a multitude of ways is one of those things, and you all have definitely done that. To that, my hat is off to you all. Thank you, Israel, for your charitability. Lastly, and this is kind of going into the actual title of this Truth for Thought, and it won't be long. Some of you that are a little closer with me know that I've been recently kind of recouping, in a recouping state, as I have been under trial or going through some tests. We're going to get some definitions of both those words here recently, because I have been recouping. And the reason that this Truth for Thought is coming out today is because yesterday, on the day of rest, I truly rested. I needed to, although I feel a little better. I am still in recoup mode, or recovery type mode. So with that, let's just jump right into this Truth for Thought, which is entitled Test. I'm going to get a couple of definitions. I'm going to talk about different types of things that you, Israel, like myself, when walking in the truth, can be tested or tried on. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I want to go to here, the definition of test. All right. This is the biblical definition of test, and everything that the definitions that I'm getting today are all going to be biblical definitions. All right. The biblical definition of a test is the act of testing or proving, a trial or proof. Okay. I want you to pay close attention to this particular word, dokimozo, to test, by implication, to approve. Remember that as the very next thing that we're going to look at is going to have that in it. So let's go here, and we're going to look at how the Bible defines a test. The Hebrew word translated as test in the Old Testament is bakan. It means to examine, investigate, prove, or scrutinize. Now, fire tests the purity of silver and gold, but the Lord tests the heart. That's in Proverbs 17:3 of the NLT. The Greek word translated as test in the New Testament is dokimazo, that same word I told you to keep in mind. It means to put to the test, to prove, examine, and by implication to approve. It then goes into 1 Thessalonians 2 and 4, which I want to stop sharing my screen because that's going to be in the NLT version. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. So we're going to go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. And it reads, "But as we were allowed of God to be put in trust with the gospel, even so we speak not as pleasing men, but God, which trieth our hearts." What this basically says is people that do what I do, try to edify our people. My beloved brother Mike Malice, my beloved brother King Gideon, my beloved brother King Yada, my beloved brother King Gino, or Common Sense Ain't So Common, as you might more commonly know him as. We don't speak to please men. We don't go over the Bible to please any man. This is all for the Most High. And he trieth our hearts. He does. He will prove us. He definitely will prove us. He will test us. All right. Now I want to stop sharing my screen because I want to go back to sharing it with this. And we're going to get the KJV definition of the word persecution. All right. Persecution. It is the act or practice of persecuting, the infliction of pain, punishment, or death upon others unjustly, particularly for adhering to a religious creed or mode of worship, either by way of penalty or for compelling them to renounce their principles. Historians enumerate 10 persecutions suffered by the Christians, beginning with Nero AD 31 and ending with that of Diocletian AD 303 to 313. It is the state of being persecuted. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest, which you can read in Lamentations 5. I will also tell you that a type of persecution is also slander. If someone is slanderous of you, it is a type of persecution. With that, I'm going to get the definition of temptation. Now, this, although I'm going to speak about this right now, I'm going to make something extremely clear about temptation, okay? Temptation is the act of tempting, enticed to evil by arguments, by flattery, or by the order of some real or apparent good. When the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. You can read that in Luke 4. The solicitation of the passions, enticement to evil, proceeding from the prospect of pleasure or advantage. The state of being tempted or enticed to evil, as you can see, is the same common thing. And then I'm going to leave out number 3 for a very specific reason, and you'll see when I go back to the Bible. that which is presented to the mind as an inducement to evil. All right. And number 4. Now I want to stop sharing my screen because with temptation, there is something that I definitely want to address. And I want to address that by going to James 1:13 so that there will be no misunderstanding about this. So James chapter 1, we're going to get 13 through 15. And like I said, this truth for thought isn't going to be long. In fact, once I finish with this, I'm going to be back resting. So James 1:13, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. The Most High does not tempt you. If you ever hear of anyone say, the Most High tempted me, they are grossly misunderstood. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. The world will tempt you. Your flesh will tempt you. The Most High, no, he will not tempt you. So again, if you ever hear someone say, I was tempted, and by the Most High or by God, again, they are grossly misunderstood. So now I want to stop sharing my screen and go back to the definitions that I was sharing. And we're going to get the definition of tribulation. All right. Tribulation means severe affliction, distress of life, vexation. In scripture, it often denotes the trouble and distresses which proceed from persecution. So here we see where persecution now leads into tribulation. All right. Let's go from there and get the definition of a trial. A trial is any effort or exertion of strength for the purpose of ascertaining its effects or what can be done. A man tries to lift a stone and on trial finds he is not able. A team attempts to draw a load and after unsuccessful trial, the attempt is relinquished. A trial is an examination by a test, experiment as in chemistry and metallurgy. An experiment or act of examining by experience, or number 3, experience suffering that puts strength, patience of faith to test. Afflictions or temptations that exercise and prove the graces of or virtues of man. Number 6, the state of being tried. The state of being tried. So I wanted to get those definitions because a trial basically can be a test. When you're walking the walk of righteousness and following the blueprint of our beloved big brother Yahweh, the Most High himself will allow trials to come your way or tests to come your way. Now, there are a couple of tests that I want to talk about in particular. or trials that I want to talk about in particular. Those are the test of patience, the test of faith, the test of love, the test of endurance, the test of humility, and the test of obedience. It's all of these things as someone, as an Israelite in the truth. You can be tested or tried of any of these things, but I want to examine each of these things in the Bible. So let's turn now back to the 1611 KJV with the Apocrypha, and I want to get Romans 5, verses 3 and 4, and we're going to look at patience. Romans 5, we're going to get verses 3 and 4. And they read, "And not only so, but we glory in tribulation also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope." So can your patience be tested? Yes. In fact, it says here, through tribulation, it can be tested. Your patience can be tested. Let's look at faith. So let's go to Psalms 31 and 23. Psalms chapter 31 and verse 23. And it reads, "O love the Lord, all ye saints." Now, when you first read this, one would have to know what it means to love the Lord. That means to do his laws, statutes, and commandments. "O love the Lord, all ye saints." The saints, that's you, Israel. "For the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentifully rewardeth the proud doer of those same laws, statutes, and commandments." So these saints love the Most High by doing the law, statutes, and commandments. And it literally says, "plentifully rewardeth the proud," those same saints that do the law, statutes, and commandments. So keep in mind what love is to the Most High, because now we're going to see about a test of love, or can love be tested, and what is it? So let's go to Deuteronomy. We're going to get chapter 7. We're going to get verses 8 and 9. "But because the Lord have loved you," and this is to you, Israel, "he will keep the oath which he made, which he had sworn unto your father. Hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt." That proves that this is about you, Israel. "Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations." Can that be tested? I will tell you, yes, it can. There may be a day where someone may come to you and see you with fringes on and tell you, take those fringes off. Denounce your love for the Most High. Or we will oust you. We will blackball you. We will persecute you. We will put you under many tribulations. Yes, it can be tested. So now let's look at endurance. And if you don't remember anything of the things that I address in this Truth for Thought, remember these 3 verses. So let's go to Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10, and we're going to get verse 22. And it reads, "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved." Can your endurance be tested? Yes. Yes, it can. It surely can. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 24, and we're going to get verse 13. And it reads, again, Yahushua said these words, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Can that endurance be tested? Can it come under trial? Can it be tried? Yes, Israel, it can. The last verse I want to look at in regards to endurance is going to be Mark chapter 13, verse 13. "And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake." This is a precept to Matthew 10 and 22. "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Again, that endurance can be tested. It can be tried. Let's look at humility, right? We're going to look at humility. So let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 5. "Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder." Listen to your elders. Learn from your elders. "Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble." Can the humility of you be tested or tried? Yes, it can. It surely can. These are certain tests that can come your way, Israel. The last thing that I want to look at is obedience. So let's go to Romans 6 and 16. Romans chapter 6 and verse 16. "Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey?" This basically means that which you obey, you are a servant to. That which you obey, you are a servant to. That which you are a servant to, you are obedient to. But let's keep going. "Whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness." So here's a question: are you obedient to sin unto death, or are you obedient unto righteousness? If you are obedient to righteousness, can that obedience be tested? I'm telling you, Israel, it can. So I got some definitions on. So now I want to go and I want to look at some actual scriptures in regards to the things which I had gotten the definitions of. And again, like I said, this isn't going to be long because I am recovering from being tested. So the first one I want to look at is persecution. All right, I want to go to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy. I want to go to chapter 3 and verses 11 and 12. And they read, persecutions, afflictions which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured, but out of them all the Lord delivered me. Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus, shall suffer persecution. If you are in this walk of righteousness, this is one of our forefathers literally telling you, if you are following the blueprint of Yahweh Shah, you indeed will come under persecution. Now, these persecutions may lead to the trial or the trying of your patience, may lead to the trying of your obedience, the trying of your humility. However, you will definitely undercome such persecution. Now let's go to 2 Timothy. We're going to stay in 2 Timothy, but we're going to go to chapter 2 and we're going to get verse 3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Even when you come under these persecutions, even when you come under certain tribulation, certain trial, again, you must endure these hardness. You must endure these. As we read back in Matthew and Mark, he that endureth shall be saved. So when you come under these trials or tests, you must endure. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it can be taxing, because I promise you it was very taxing for me. But I endured. I will say that I have thus far endured. Now let's go to John chapter 15. Let's go to John chapter 15. And we're going to get verses 18 through 21. And they read, if the world hates you, again, it's Yahweh Shah speaking. If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. Remember, I went over a verse that said that people that reach out to edify our nation, such as my beloved King Mike Malice, King Gideon, King Yada, King Gino, we don't teach, we don't edify for the pleasing of man, but for the Most High. Where you see, if you were of the world, if you were worried about pleasing the world wouldn't love you then. However, we know that it's a lot of people that don't like the things we say. It's a lot of people that literally hate what we say when we're literally reading straight from the Bible. We're not giving our opinion. We're not giving a belief. We're not telling you what we think. We're literally reading the Bible. Yet the world hates that we do this. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Again, we're just looking at scriptures in regards to persecution. Now let's go to Galatians. Let's stand in the New Testament. Going to Galatians. We're going to chapter 4, verse 29. And it reads, but as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit, even so it is now. Further proving the world is of its flesh. And again, we don't edify to please the world. We don't edify to please the flesh. We're edifying to please the Most High, who deals directly with your spirit. But the man of his flesh, or the world and everyone in it that's of their flesh, they will persecute those that speak with you all in the spirit. All right. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 10. Again, still in the New Testament. Matthew chapter 10. We're going to get verses 16 through 20. This is all Yahweh saying, behold, this is something that he said to the apostles. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Wise as serpents and harmless as doves. I've had to exercise that as of late, more so than I thought I would have had to, but I have had to exercise that a lot as of late. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father, which speaketh in you. And Yahushua was saying this because he was telling the apostles, you're going to get locked up. You're going out here edifying your people. You're going to get persecuted. And then they're going to start examining you. They're going to start asking you questions. They're going to put you under trial. They're going to try you. They're going to test you, prove you. he tells the disciples, don't speak right when you're asked, but wait for the Father, the Most High, the Spirit of the Most High will then speak for you. All right. So this again is things that are dealing with persecution. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. And I had to exercise that as well here lately. So I'm telling you, this Bible is very real. These things that I am reading are very, very true. Not just because it's written. On this day, I'm telling you from experience, this is very real and very, very true. Let's go to Matthew 5, and we're going to get verses 10 through 12 again. Straight from Yahushua. And it reads, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteous sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. I say to you again, slander is a type of persecution. It's proven right here in the text. Slander is a type of persecution. So the last one I want to go to in regards to persecution is 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians again in the New Testament. We're going to get chapter 12 and verses 9 through 10. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, than the power of Christ may rest upon me. Listen to this next verse. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. For the ones that are extremely close to me, they know that I was feeling weak for a minute, for a couple of days. But in that weakness was when I was strong. And this is to those individuals, so they'll know that I wasn't dismayed, not by any stretch of the word at all. I literally embraced what I was going through. Because I do have the understanding these things would not have happened to me if I wasn't doing something right. And that is just the truth. It's been too many of the scriptures that we've already covered just in regards to persecution that said these things would happen to you just like they happened to me. As I will say, I am attempting to walk in the steps of the blueprint. I am putting each time I put one of my feet forward, I'm attempting to walk in the steps of Yahushua. are making every effort to do that. It's been too many times in the text that we've read that he said, for my name's sake, because you will walk in those steps that I will walk in, these things will happen to you as they happen to me. So, again, to the ones that are close to me, understand, I never was dismayed. I did have to step back and look at the whole picture. My beloved brother, King Mike Malice. Love you, King. And that's something that I normally do, but every now and again, even I, may have to be tapped by my brother. Hey, step back here with me. Look at this. See what's really going on here. And I did. And I'm not dismayed. I have endured, and I will keep walking the walk. I will keep doing that which I've been doing in the manner that I've been doing it. All right. So now we talked a little bit about temptation. We went to James 1 and 13 through 15. And I'll go back to it so that, again, like I said, I don't want this to be misunderstood in regards to temptation. All right. James 1, we're going to get 13 through 15. And it reads, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. You are never tempted by the Most High. He will never tempt you. Will he try you? Yes. Will he allow you to be tried through things like tribulation and persecution? Yes. He will. But the one thing he will never do is tempt you. That, unfortunately, Israel, is through a couple of other things. Through the flesh, through the world, and my beloved brother talked about something not too long ago, also through evil spirits. If a spirit gets into someone else, it can tempt you to do some things. That is very, very true. It can also test you. That is very, very true. Will the Most High allow that to happen? Yes, he will. He will see how you would deal with such trial. But again, he will not tempt you. Okay? For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed, meaning your own flesh, your own wicked thoughts, the world's wicked ideologies, thoughts, beliefs. All of these things can be tempting. But none of these things are done by the Most High, as he will not tempt you. Okay? So now let's go to Luke chapter 4. And we're going to look at an account of temptation. And we're going to further see it has nothing The Most High had nothing to do with this. But we're going to go to Luke 4 and Luke chapter 4, we're going to get verses 12 and 13. And Jesus answered unto him, saying, It is said, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. This was one of the 3 times that Yahweh was tempted by Satan. My beloved brother, he had been on evil spirits for a couple of weeks. And he kind of talked about Satan just this past Sabbath. And here you see even Satan will attempt to tempt Yahweh, but it had nothing to do with the Most High. Remember that what we read in James 1. This was done by the deceiver himself. Had nothing to do with the Most High. Okay. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted. This further proves the Most High. There will never be a day when you can say, I've been tempted by the Most High, or by God. Above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So what the Most High will do is make a way for you to escape any temptation. But he himself will not tempt you. All right. So now I want to get an account from the Old Testament, from in Genesis. I could have gotten the account, and we kind of touched on the last time that we did it, but I could have got the account of when Yahweh was tempted by Satan. But I'm going to get a different account. I'm going to get Genesis chapter 39. We're going to get verses 6 through 12. Now, we're going to see. First, I want to definitely make sure that this is a type of temptation. Second, I want to see if it had anything to do with the Most High, or if it was of the flesh or of the world. I want to differentiate those things so that people can understand, because there are people that have the misunderstanding that temptation is brought about by the Most High, and that is not the case. And I wanted to differentiate these things as far as persecution, temptation, tribulation, and trials, so that Israel, you will understand. So we're going to get Genesis 39. We're getting verses 6 through 12. And this is in regards to Joseph, okay? And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored, okay? And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. So this is his master's wife. So he's a servant serving this man. And the master's wife has laid eyes upon Joseph. And she said, lie with me. She's tempting him. She laid eyes on him in her flesh, entices her, although she is married to his master. Her flesh entices her to tempt him to lie with her. Verse 8, but he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wanteth not what is with me in this house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in his house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee. So he's saying, my master has allowed me to interact with and utilize anything in his house but you, as you are his wife. Let me keep going. But thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? All right. So if Joseph was to do this, yes, it would be a transgression of the law. That is true, which will make him sin against God. But that great wickedness of entertaining that temptation, that was not brought about by God. Again, it was, or by the Most High. It was brought about by the flesh of the master's wife. Let's keep going. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her. So he's continuing to resist this temptation he's enduring. All right. To lie by her or to be with her. Verse 11. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. So no one's there. No one's present. Verse 12. And she caught him by his garment. So no one else is there but Joseph and her. She caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. He literally resisted temptation to the point that he literally ran out and left his garments in her hands. Now you can read this whole account, and eventually she persecutes him. She lies. She slanders him by saying to her husband, the Hebrew that you brought here, he's making a mockery. He's attempted to lie with me. So Joseph ends up getting locked up. But here you see in this account, it is proven that temptation, you're not tempted by the Most High. You're tempted by the flesh. You're tempted by the flesh of the world. You're tempted by the world that's in its flesh, but not by the Most High himself. So now let's look at tribulation. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Go back. Let's go to the Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 4. We're going to get verses 30 and 31. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days. So this is saying today or on down the road, if thou turn to the Lord thy God and shalt be obedient unto his voice. Remember I told you about tests of obedience, tests of endurance. Verse 31, For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. Now, that is contingent upon verse 30, the end of verse 30, which is to be obedient to his voice, to love the Most High, to do the law, statutes, and commandments. All those things can be tried. Let's go to Acts chapter 14. Acts chapter 14, going back to the New Testament. We're going to get verse 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of God. So this is letting you know there will be times of tribulation. In these times of tribulation, will you be tested? Yes. Can you be tested in multiple facets in the times of tribulation? Yes. Yes, you can. And we already read Romans 5 and 3, so I don't have to go back to that. So let's look at trials. Let's go to 1 Peter. Let's go to 1 Peter. And we're going to get chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearance of Jesus Christ, at the appearance of Yahweh. I spoke of tests of your faith or a trial of your faith. All of these things are very real, Israel. I am saying this to you because I had been tested here recently in several ways on several different occasions. Yet I did endure. I did endure. And that's why I said, if you don't remember anything, remember what I went over in Matthew and Mark. So now let's go to 1 Peter, and this time we're going to go to chapter 4 and verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange. So don't think it's strange that if this should happen to you. It is not. Yahweh spoke of these things to even the disciple. So anyone that's walking and following him as a blueprint should think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened unto you. It's not going to be strange when you begin to go through these trials or tests. It should not be. And that's kind of why I went over the things that I did, how I did. It should not be strange. It was not strange to me that I was being tried. Some of how it happened was kind of concerning me, like, okay. But when I took a step back, like I said, my beloved brother, he kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, step back, look at this. Look at the full picture. When I took that step back and looked at it, even that which was concerning me no longer concerned me. it was no longer strange to me, because these things, I had to get back and get in the Bible and read, of course, which I do quite often. But there were some things that had to be brought to my remembrance. Not that I didn't know them, but and 9 times out of 10, I normally do this on my own. I take a step back and look at the whole picture. This instance was one where, I definitely needed to do that, because it was not strange that what happened. Yahweh literally said, for my name's sake, meaning if you're willing to walk the walk that I walked, these things will happen to you. So it shouldn't be a strange thing when it does happen. That's basically what this is saying. This is reiterating upon or expounding upon that which Yahweh said. So I'm gonna get 4 last verses. Well, I'm gonna get 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get 6 last verses. I'm gonna end this truth for thought, because, like I said, I have been recouping. It has been taxing. It truly, truly has been taxing. When you are in a spiritual warfare, it is physically taxing. And that may sound crazy, but it is the truth. So let me go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. We'll go on and wrap this up. 1 Thessalonians chapter 3, and we're going to get verses 3 through 4. And they read, that no man should be moved by these afflictions. For yourselves know that we are appointed thereunto. It means it's being said again. Look, you're chosen. You know you're chosen. These are things that are going to happen to you, because you're obviously going to walk. You're willing to walk in the footsteps of the blueprint. For verily, when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulations, even as it came to pass. And this is definitely reiterates why it should not be strange when such trials and tribulations happen. These things have been announced in several parts of the Bible for us, Israel, to not be taken off guard when it does happen, because it's not a question of if, it will. You will be tried many times. Many times you will be tried. And it's not a question of if you will, it's simply when. And when it happens, think not that it is strange, as we read earlier. It is something that's going to happen to you, just like what this says here in verse 3. They're going to happen to you. All right, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4. And trust me, I am not exempt. I am an Israelite. I know I am an Israelite. I make every effort to walk in the footsteps of the blueprint of Yahweh. And I am not exempt. However, I am talking to you now out of experience of a very trying set of situations that happened over a short period of time in a consecutive days in different manners, trying different things, trying my patience, trying my humility, trying my obedience. And I will tell you, it is very taxing because you start to fight a spiritual warfare and it is very taxing. So I'm speaking to you now out of pure experience. All right, so we're going to go to 1 Peter chapter 4. We're going to get verses 12 through 14. Beloved, think it not strange concerning, we already did that one. I apologize. We already did this one. Let's go to Revelations 2 and 10. Yeah. Revelations 2 and 10. I already covered that. Now, this is prophetic, meaning it's in regards to things that are to happen. For none of those things which thou shalt suffer, be it a trial, a tribulation, a persecution, or your resistance to temptations, behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, that ye may be tested by a number of ways. And a number of things may be tested of you. And ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful. Simply means endure unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Again, this is Yahweh speaking, which leads right back into those 3 verses that I went over, and I want to go over them again, and that's where we're going to end this truth thought. I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 22. And it reads, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Again, that we read in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, that was said by Yahweh as well as this. And now I want to go to Matthew chapter 24. And we're going to get verse 13. And it reads, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved, the same shall receive a crown. Yahweh said it in Revelations 2 and 10. And last but not least, I want to get Mark 13 and 13. Mark chapter 13 and verse 13. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And with that, Israel, I know this isn't nearly the length of truth or thought that I normally do. But I am recovering, I promise you, I am recouping. And however, I did also want it to be known I have not been dismayed. I will continue to walk. I will continue to follow the blueprint. I did, however, rest yesterday, which is when I normally do my truth thoughts. And I'm going to continue to rest. I'm almost, I'll say I'm about 75% now. And when I tell you it was taxing, It was taxing. I was feeling like 25% for a number of days last week. However, I'm feeling much better. Um, getting to 100%. But I did want to address Israel. And again, this is in regards to something that I actually did go through. But also for you all to keep in mind, these types of things can happen to you. I wanted you to know the difference in temptations, persecutions, trials, and tribulations. And I definitely want you to understand, because you too, if you're walking in righteousness, you're following in those steps of the blueprint, these things too can happen to you. They can be taxing, some more so than others. But think not that it is strange if it does, because these are things that have been appointed unto you, as we kind of read a little earlier. I do ask that you continue to keep not only myself, but all of Israel in prayer. And again, I do want everyone, all of Israel, I want you all to understand that I am not dismayed, especially the ones that are a little closer to me and that I speak with more regularly. Understand, I'm not dismayed. I'm actually, it's like a badge of honor. I'm just having to recoup to really, it is something to actually rejoice about, because again, it means I'm doing some things correctly. With that, Israel, it's your brother, King Marcus G. I love you all, and I bid you shalom.